Okay, good day, everyone. Get started here. So today is going to be nowhere near as long as last week's tips and tricks session. Just going to talk about, because I get asked this question with some regularity, about how do I become a better or more expert Excel user. So previous Wednesdays, July 1, I crammed too much in. And then the other days here. And of course, these recordings are all out there on the XL Statements YouTube channel. And how do you find the XL Statements YouTube channel? Just go to YouTube and type XL Statements channel. So learning more Excel, and certainly these days, the way to learn it is by using the internet. And so I'm going to talk about some websites and then also some training videos that are out there. I'm not really going to cover books. That's real old school. But let me just about books though. I'd say any Excel book by John Walkenbach is going to be good. So be aware that every new Excel version adds new features. There really haven't been that many features being added over the last, I don't know, 3 versions. The product is so mature. Although Microsoft has been, in all of the Office products, they've been working on collaboration features. So with the latest version, you're going to find more collaboration features in there. So, people working together on the same workbook. And John Welkenbach actually is retired. He lives a couple miles away from me right now. But just so you know, you can get like Excel 2016 books now on Remainder, so very inexpensively. So if you do want to learn from a book, there's certainly nothing wrong with getting a book that was written for Excel 2016, even though Excel 2019 is out there. And frankly, based on what I've seen at user sites, there aren't all that many users on 2019. If you're on Office 365, which is the one where you can download it from Microsoft, download upgrades, and it'll automatically upgrade you and so forth, then that's essentially equivalent to Excel 2019 now. But like I say, a book on Excel 2016 or even Excel 2013 will certainly give you 99% of what you would want to learn as a finance person. It was there in Excel 2013. It was there in 2016. Again, if you're interested in collaboration features, then yeah, the later versions have more, but you can certainly learn about that on the web as opposed to trying to get that out of a book. And then for real beginners, I haven't actually looked at these, but I know they have a good reputation, unlike some of the dummies books. So Greg Harvey writes the Excel 29, Excel All-in-One for Dummies, and the latest one is Excel 2019 for Dummies. So just on books, there's nothing wrong with getting a cheap book on an earlier version. It's going to have virtually everything that you would need. So I'm just going to talk about the stages here, or what I'm aiming at. So a beginner user has never used Excel, or it's been a really long time. And then I'm going to talk about getting from that level to intermediate. And so that might be somebody who, yeah, I use Excel a lot, but I haven't really learned how to use some of the functions in there. And I know they're there, but they're confusing, or I don't quite understand them. And maybe it's just the difference between absolute and relative cell references, those dollar signs when you're entering a formula in. And then using shortcuts as well. And that's the sort of thing you see me doing, partly because I don't know how to type very well. So things like using the fill handle, how to select different ranges, and so forth. And then from intermediate to advanced, which is where I would expect most people are now. They're sort of intermediate level, but they'd like to do something like, maybe, you're scared of pivot tables. You tried it once, pivot tables are one of those things that if you don't use them fairly often, it's kind of easy to forget them as well. But once you start using them, chances are you will keep using them, and therefore, you're not going to lose that knowledge. Using Excel for charting, which can be a big deal. You can make dashboards using Excel statements for management by using the charting features that are in there. And Excel is actually the world's #1 graphics or graph or charting program. So if you learn that charting, obviously you can use it for any kind of charts that you need to make, and then you already then know how to do charts in Excel statements. Once you learn how to do charts in Excel, then obviously that's going to work in Excel statements as well. So more advanced is VBA, Visual Basic for Applications, also called macros. And that's again, really advanced. And then there are a lot of other possibilities as well. So if you're a beginner, so these are just some websites that I would recommend. So Excel Easy, there are sections in there on introduction and basics. And then there's a video training website called Excel Exposure. And then the Microsoft Excel for Windows training has both videos and text, web pictures and text explanation. And then there's another site called GFC Learn Free, which is kind of an interesting site. You can learn all sorts of stuff from GFC, but they have specifically for Excel. And I know I opened all of these. So there's Excel Easy. And I'm going to have the links for all of these listed in YouTube. So under the video screen and the text down there, I will have links for all of these. So here's Excel Exposure. And don't pay, you don't have to pay them. So a lot, all these videos that you see here, you don't have to pay for. And I certainly don't think it's necessary. Sorry, it's jumping around. This is the way the website's made. I don't think there's any case where you need to actually pay for anything. So don't. I mean, obviously, one reason he puts all the free training out here is he's hoping someone may pay for the paid courses as well. So this is the Microsoft Excel for Windows training. So one of the jump off spots. And I said this is both videos and text explanation, but generally what they have is they have a short video that is not really trying to teach you something, it's just trying to show it to you. With music. And then they have a more complete explanation down below, usually with pictures. I didn't choose a good one that has pictures. But you can see these are all very short. So these are just sort of demonstrations more than the other sites with videos, which really have true training instead. But I think it's a good jumping off place. And because this is from Microsoft, you're always going to find stuff on the latest functionality because, of course, Microsoft would like you to upgrade. And then this is the GFC Global, and this is their specifically jumping off on Excel here. And so these are kind of, because this is a real education site, I think this even has things like quizzes, and you progress from one to the next. And let's see, where was I? Yeah, so that's beginner things. And then if you're in the more, I'm trying to get into the intermediate, then obviously I already showed you these, Excel Exposure. And then I really like Contextures from Deborah Dalglish for kind of intermediate and beyond. I like her website. She's done a really good job with it. There, Contextures. And so she's got tutorials She's got a lot of good, explanatory documentation. So if you want to go and say, gee, how do I use name range? This is a great site for that. And then she has videos as well. I think I've got that here. Yeah. So these are videos that she has. And it's not one video each here, but she's got typically several videos for each of these typically more advanced topics here. So that's really probably my favorite. Is here she is right there, is her website. Let's see. Okay, and then getting to advanced, and these are websites that even I, well, at least Chip Pearson's site, I definitely use. I think you can tell I use Deb's Contexture's website as well. And then videos, there's a guy in India whose nickname is Chandu, and he's got a lot of videos. And then XL Exposure, which I don't think I mentioned, XL, which I think is better videos along with what Deborah has for more advanced. So there's Chip's site. This is real old school. It goes back like 20 years. And so this is the way websites used to look. But if I want to look for an advanced way to do something, particularly in VBA, then I'm going to go typically to his website. Here's Chandu. And he has beginner ones as well, but I think he's stronger on, something like conditional format, which would be, more intermediate to advanced level. And okay, this is the next slide. So keep on learning. So even though you say I use it all the time, I'm really good with it, I think I'm an expert. Microsoft has people that they designate MVPs in different Microsoft products, and MVPs typically have websites as well. And so you could look at those MVP websites, and they tend to specialize in various areas of Excel as well. So one MVP may know a lot about charting, and so his website may be the go-to place for charting. And then there are support forums as well. So if you can't figure out how to do something in Excel, and it's beyond going to a tutorial site, then these are some of the support forums out there. And I'll show you those as well. And then for Dynamics SL specific, there are a couple of possibilities there. And I'll show you those. So this is just a website. I went and typed in Excel MVP websites and came up here, and then this guy is keeping track of ones that he's aware of for Microsoft MVPs. So a lot of them, obviously. Oh, there's John. Welcome back. So John's site used to be called Jaywalk, is gone because he retired, but he moved his content to something called spreadsheetpage.com, and there are other contributors here as well, but this is it looks a little commercial as well, which is not really my cup of tea, but that's just an example of one. So here's MrXL.com. So this is one of the help forums, and I think this one is good. You may have to join. I think most of these you do have to join. It doesn't cost you anything, but you have to join before you can put a question in. But this is where you go and you ask your Excel questions, and they'll have sub forums typically. I guess this one doesn't. So Mr. XL, Osgrid, which is from Australia, similar. And so you can see here the different help forums out there, and then Excel forum as well. And so here you can see a list of, they've got subtopics in here. So, and if you If you go deeply into some of these, you may see content answers that I have posted. I haven't done it in a while, but particularly back when I was a financial analyst and I was in meetings all the time, several of which I had little interest in, then I would go out on these forums and answer questions. So, like I say, you may see it would be either Jonathan or Jonathan VH or something like that. You might recognize me out there. Okay, so anyone have any questions about any of this? Oh, yeah, I was going to show you the DSLUG, which is the Dynamics SL users group, which you can join. It's expensive. And actually, I'm not a member anymore. If I can get over there. So there is some content out there. So I'm not a member, which is why it says upgrade. But you can still go in here and see, oh, webinar recordings. Now, a lot of these are on like Management Reporter, which thankfully you don't have to figure out how to use. And you'll also see a lot of these may not pertain to Dynamics SL, unfortunately. So, but here's one. So Warwick Leitch, also from Australia, did one on Excel-based reporting for projects, and he uses a lot of lookup functions and so forth. And it's funny because he's kind of trying to get the same kind of result that you can from XLstatements, except it takes a lot longer and takes forever to recalculate. But anyway, it's a way, working with Dynamics SL data that you can relate to. It's a way to learn maybe some functionality for using Excel that you don't know now. And then also there are, so this is from last year's conference, and under BI and reporting, you'll notice, okay, so here's one on advanced Excel reporting. So this isn't a video, but the PowerPoint is out there, and the in this case, because it was, you'll see who did this one maybe, because it was so advanced that it's using VBA, the VBA code will be out there as well. So I don't know why it's not opening. But anyway, I did that one last year. So so if you get really advanced and you want to do some real fancy stuff in Excel where you're connecting into your Dynamics SL data and maybe even changing it, this has some of the VBA code and then some explanation. And it's got the worksheets, the workbooks as well with the code in it. So just some examples from there. And then version 3 is still scheduled for later. And because I don't have anything pertaining to training in here, well, maybe I should have put in that we've got much better help embedded in the new version. These are just some recent enhancements that I don't think I've mentioned before. So now if you're using the budget option, you can put notes on balances, and then from within a report, if you drill down on a budget number, it will have the notes on the budget detail, the first level drill down under that. There's no second level drill down on budget because there are no transactions. It now, if you know about the check for new accounts, it now checks for new sub-accounts, and also it'll check for reactivated accounts and sub-accounts. So if you had an inactive account and then you made that active in the last X days, and then you ask XLstatements to go and look for new accounts in that last X days, it'll also show you accounts that have been activated. We also support the account subtable now, which is only relevant if you're using the validate account sub-account combinations options on GL setup, which as a consultant, I don't usually recommend turning that on. But anyway, we support it. We just added support for that. And so these are some ideas for future Wednesday sessions. And I did a session in July on some Excel functions, And I think next week we'll probably hit some more Excel functions, which actually isn't even on this list. Okay, so does anyone have any questions about learning or anything to do with Excel statements? Remember to unmute yourself. People are too shy to be in these. Please, somebody must have some question about Excel statements. All right. I did get a question a week ago, and I'll show you. Someone said that they were using segments in their subaccounts, and they wanted a column based on one of these segments. So let's say it was location. They wanted a column for each location in their report. And so just to show you, I'll go up here. Let's go here. And I'll say location. And I'll say I want to insert that as a row. Okay, so I hit insert here. Okay, and what that's done is it set me up for a column for each of those different locations. So it's put the mask up here for each of those. So to make this a little, let's go in and complete this. Let's go put a ledger ID in there, and let's drop some accounts in. And we have to get our fiscal year and period. I'll just hard code them. So equals PTD BAL, Control Shift A. So company ID we've got, ledger ID we've got, account we're going to get from here. F4, F4, F4. Sub account we're going to get from here. F4, F4. Fiscal year, I'm just going to hard code that. And period, we'll hard code that as well. And what doesn't it like? ID, ledger ID. Ledger ID. What happened there? It didn't get named. Oops. Yep, it didn't get named. So let's go name it. I'm sure someone out there will figure out what I did wrong, but I'm not going to take the time right now. Okay, so we wait for this to recalculate. And so now we've got, our, typically this would be something, well, I don't know, maybe balance sheet, but typically this would be something on the P&L where you're looking department by department. And so I wanted to point out that you can easily go and create all these masks like that. They're not much fun to make manually, and so that's an easy way to do it. And as you can see, there's an Excel statement function called subseg description. It needs the company ID, it needs the segment number, which is 1, 2, 3, and then it needs to know where that segment is. And this is an Excel function called mid. And so we're saying look at cell D3 right here, and take from starting at character 8, get me the next 2 characters. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 8th character is that first 9. The 9th character is the second 9. And so that's how we're chopping that out. And of course, it's nice Excel statements when you drop it in, if you say, yeah, put the descriptions in below. Oh, and that's why the ledger got done that way. It's because when you insert a row, it knows that you don't want to insert the descriptions to the right or the left. So it automatically changes to suggest below. And it was still on below when I dropped the financial ledger in. So that's what happened there. Again, Excel statements function, maybe it looks complicated, particularly because in this case we have to use this mid function. And Excel statements can't go in and figure that out because you can't just say segment 3 because, you may not have put the dashes in here, the separators in here, in which case that would have been, starting at character 6 as opposed to starting at character 8 if you hadn't put the dashes in. So, um, so we need to tell it where to find that ID for that particular segment. Any questions? Okay. Well, next week, as you're using Excel statements and you have a question while you're using it, jot it down and then come in with that next Wednesday. Okay. All right. So this was the shortest one yet, and I'll see you guys next week.